6 o'clock last night. It began when police were called to a serious collision just at the far side of this road there. Around 150 people then gathered and fireworks were thrown at police officers, debris was thrown. We've got patio doors here, we have rubble. It was a real scene of disarray. Now police are calling it, a scene, but locals here are calling it very much a riot. Now, as we can see, much calmer, as I say, this morning, but it has taken a lot of police. Police were drawn in from right across South Wales last night because this force here in Cardiff were just overwhelmed. Now, we don't have any more information on what happened during that serious collision. We do know arrests have been made. Now, today, residents are very much coming to terms with what happened here. I spoke to somebody just a little while ago who said they have lived here for all their lives. They have never seen anything like this before. Now, this morning, it is all about clearing up operation. Arrests can be made, but for this community, it's all about coming to terms with the shock of what happened here last night. Yeah, that's very, very strange, and we don't know what happened with the car accident, which seems to start about sequence there. And we will catch up with them, of course, this morning, so we can get an idea of what's got and what. Right, that's our top story this morning. Here's Rambo with the rest of the day's news.
Thank you so much, Susanna. As you were hearing at the top of the programme, police investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann will begin searching a reservoir in Portugal this morning. The area in the Algarve is around 30 miles from Luge, where 3-year-old Madeleine went missing 16 years ago. Search was requested by German police, but British officers will be present. Nick Dixon is at ALR Dam. Nick, this isn't the first time, is it, that this area has been searched?
No, that's right. Morning, Malbia. The authorities were here in 2008 searching parts of the reservoir, parts of the wooded area, the woodland area as well, but they seem to rule it out as an area of any real significance to the investigation, but they're back now in large numbers as well today. We understand they've sealed off an area around about 1 mile of this reservoir, as I say, not just the water, but the woodland area as well. Obviously they have some sort of intelligence to prompt the search. They haven't given us any details about the nature of the investigation just yet, any specifics. That's coming later on today, but local media reports are suggesting and speculating, I should stress, that German police have received what's been described as a credible tip-off, which came with evidence as well to bring them back here in large numbers. Just to give you a bit of the geography of this area, you can see on the map it's around about 30 miles away, this reservoir in Luge, where Madeleine McCann was taken. It's an area where the main suspect, Christian Bruckner, has been known to spend time over the years. In fact, he's described it in his words as his little paradise. In terms of the scale of the search today, we understand it will involve obviously officers from Portugal, from Germany as well, around a dozen officers from Germany, some British officers as well, specialist divers and technicians. It should be over a period of 48 hours, but of course, depending on what happens in that time, it could go on for longer. Could this dam hold the answers to 16 years of questions over missing Madeleine McCann? She was just 3 when she vanished from her bed in a family's apartment as they holidayed in Portugal. But despite investigations and numerous searches over the years, her disappearance remains a mystery. But then in 2020, German police identified Christian Bruckner as the prime suspect, despite his denials. He's currently in prison for the rape of a 72-year-old woman in Luge in 2005. German authorities say there's growing evidence to suggest at the time of Madeleine's disappearance, he was in the area, a visitor at the dam. It's here to police her search.
I think it's a long shot. It's a huge amount of water to search. It's 16 years on from when Madeleine went missing. Water can move evidence, move bodies, so it's extremely difficult to know whether they'll be successful.
Over the years, the McCanns have declined to comment on individual updates or searches, but recently spoke of awaiting a breakthrough as investigations continue with this finally be it. Nick Dixon, Good Morning Britain. Fortune.
Chancellor Jeremy Hunt today asked food manufacturers to do what they can to support consumers, and this means that food prices are now set to overtake energy bills as the epicentre of the cost of living crisis. Our political correspondent Louisa James is in South West London actually today, Louisa. You're in someone's kitchen though who's obviously struggling with this very issue of food prices going up. What is it? It sounds quite vague what Jeremy Hunt is trying to do. Do what you can sounds pretty vague to me. What's he hoping to achieve?
Right, he says he wants to get to the bottom of why food prices are what he calls stubbornly high. And it is food prices in particular because while general inflation is about 10%, food prices are rising at nearly twice that rate at 19%. And if you look at some supermarket staples, it is even higher than that. So this loaf of bread, for example, would cost you £1.15 a year ago. It is £1.55 today. That's 35% higher. Similarly, this milk has gone up by 30% in the last year, and that is proving a struggle for lots of people. Let's talk to Cecilia, who lives here with her husband, her 6-year-old daughter, Morning, and her 91-year-old grandmother. Now, Cecilia, you're telling me your husband's got a good job, a good salary, but you're still really struggling with food in particular.
Yes, it always expenses. My business needs to borrow money, it's not going to have enough money for food for that week.
And it's never been like that before.
No, not like that, no. So it's a little bit more extreme right now.
And if the Chancellor could do something for you, meeting food manufacturers today, what would you like to see?
It would be great if they can cap some of the food, the basics, so that all supermarkets can have the same amount of price on all the food, like basic bread, milk, just the essentials, so that people can actually eat healthy food and not buy all these frozen £1.35 piece of frozen foods, when you can actually buy some vegetables and nutritious food that you can cook for your family, and you want your family to be healthy.
Thank you, Cecilia. Thanks for letting us come in here this morning. That is something that actually other countries have done, is cap the prices of essentials. Perhaps it will be up for discussion today. The good news is that food manufacturers say that they think food prices have reached a peak and will start to fall significantly in the next couple of months.
James, thank you so much. Former Deputy Minister Dominic Raab has confirmed that he'll stand down at the next general election. Mr. Raab resigned from the cabinet last month after a bullying investigation found that he had acted in an intimidating way and would unreasonably and persistently aggressive at meetings. Junior doctors in England will go on strike for 3 days next month in their disputes over pay. The British Medical Association says the walkout, due to start on June the 14th, comes in response to what they call a paltry 5% pay offer from the government. And nurses are going to start voting today on whether to continue their strike action over pay and staffing. Almost 300,000 members of the Royal College of Nursing in England are being asked to renew their mandate for industrial action until the end of the year. RCN members rejected the government's pay deal in April. Downing Street insists that is its final offer.
We need a solution. The solution is not nurses striking. The solution is a deal that resolves the issues for our members and actually gets them back into work where they want to be, not having to fight for every penny and fight to be able to deliver services for members. So please come back to the table.
We stay with health because the number of dentists working in the NHS in England has fallen to the lowest level in a decade, according to the British Dental Association. Nithya Rajan is in a dental practice in Kirby Moorside in North Yorkshire. I know I've rung around my local area trying, I think I'm still on 20, Nithya, trying to get an NHS dentist, and everybody says no. I'm sure that's a common experience. What's it all down to?
Well, dentists here say they are simply struggling to fill vacancies. They can't cover the costs of attracting new talent, and therefore they're having to pay financial penalties for not meeting their NHS contractual targets. But here to tell me a bit more is Mark. Mark, you are from the British Dental Association. What is the key problem here? Why the drop in numbers?
The numbers have been dropping for a long, long time. This is nothing new. We've been talking about this for many, many years now.
The problem is the way the funding is allocated to the patient treatment. It's a contract that's been fit for purpose for many, many years, and there's been a refusal to acknowledge that, and now we're in this crisis position.
And very quickly, the Department of Health told us that your conclusion from the British Dental Association is based on incomplete data. What would you say to that?
Well, the data is what we've been given, the clear information request, and it shows that there are less dentists. And when we talk about headcount as well, it's not really a reflection of who's doing what. So it could be private dentists or NHS dentists, and definitely less dentists in about the 2011 short roll.
Okay, well, Mark, thank you for joining us this morning. Well, the government say that they are doing everything they can to fill those shortages. They're making it easier to recruit dentists from overseas. But as you heard there, Mark and many of his colleagues say that in order for NHS patients to fill these chairs that you can see in front of me, they will have to change the way that funding is allocated and make sure that those shortages for dentists happen.
Lythia, thank you. A British pensioner accused of murdering his terminally ill wife will return to court in Cyprus today, with defence witnesses expected to give evidence. 75-year-old David Hunter claims his wife of 52 years cried and begged for him to kill her. Jonathan Swing is in Paphos. Jonathan, a really sensitive subject here, and David Hunter denies murder, doesn't he? He says his wife Janice was actually an assisted suicide.
First I should just explain why we're here, because the couple originally from Northumberland retired out here to Cyprus to spend the rest of their days by the sea and enjoying the good weather. The first 16 years of their life was said to be fantastic here, but then his wife Janice did get a terminal blood cancer, and now David, the husband, is accused of murdering her. Well, in this trial, we heard on David, the husband himself, he says that his wife was actually his best friend, but her suffering became so great that she begged him to end her life. He says that he constantly refused to do this, but then her suffering became so great that on one day he did assist with her death. His fair friends back home in Northumberland say that this certainly was not a case of murder.
You look on David's Facebook, every other picture is a picture of him and his wife together. Inseparable. But always happy, always smiling. They really were living the dream. Didn't even deserve to be in jail, let alone on a charge of murder.
David Hunter himself has been in prison here in Cyprus for the past 18 months where this whole process has taken place. That's said to have a detrimental effect on his health as well. From today as well, we're going to hear from more defence witnesses, friends of David Hunter and Janet. They're trying to prove to the court, to the judges here, that this was assisted suicide and not murder.
We think we've got quite a good argument in regards to manslaughter or assisted suicide. We hope that the judges are listening to his evidence. He gave quite strong and powerful evidence. We've got more witnesses to come today. We're confident of putting forward really strong arguments and hopefully we'll be right result.
The prosecution here in Cyprus see this all very differently. They say that this was a cruel and painful way to end Janice Hunter's life. The family themselves say that they were just hoping and praying for a miracle that Janice would actually be cured from this cancer. But now though it's up to the judges, not a jury here, but the judges here in Cyprus to decide the outcome of this very sad case.
Yeah, Jonathan Swing, thank you. Newcastle United have secured their return to the Champions League for the first time in 20 years. The goalless draw at Leicester from James Park. United have 4 points clear of 5th place from Liverpool, heading into Sunday's final day of the season. And WhatsApp is going to allow users to edit their messages for up to 15 minutes after being sent. The feature will be made available to WhatsApp's 2 billion users in the coming weeks, apparently to do with correcting spelling mistakes. But I don't know about you, when you go onto WhatsApp and you see a deleted message, what was that about? It makes more questions, doesn't it? Yeah, it's suspicious, what are you going to say?
And it's very difficult to leave a WhatsApp group. Everybody questions why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the edit thing, so you can edit. I think it's for predictive texting, and you get all the wrong words.
Yeah, of course it is. That's apparently what it's for.
Yeah.
But it's not that you might hit at the moment, and then
5 minutes later now, I haven't written that.
You went with the blue tick and you think, have I read it? Hang on.
All been there.
Following Leicester's draw in Newcastle United, we have probably the most famous Leicester fan on this morning, Gary Lineker, after 8 o'clock. There is no occasion for him to be in his boxes this season, which he did, of course, in 2016 when they won the Premier League, and he presented Match of the Day in his underwear as a bet. They do face relegation, so we'll talk to Gary Lineker about how the final game of the season could come out for Leicester and the other relegation contenders. Just me interested in that? Yeah, just me.
Struggling to think
Me.
something.
There we go, right. Okay. I was just spinning it out
Oh, there it is.
so we can play those pictures from Match of the Day. Where Anna Williams and Sarah Wentworth. Just look at the logo on the boxes. Right, let's have a look at the weather now, Laura.
Do you know what? I actually had saw somebody at the weekend with no top on. That is how warm it is.
Oh, no
top on. No top on. Female. A man, yes. But also, just a word of caution, I think it's been so cool so far this spring. Now it's finally warm. People heading out not wearing sunscreen, lots of red bodies as well.
Okay.
But actually, I had a channel in the sunshine today, so it was much more than this week.
That warm fragrance from Mars, proud sponsors of weather every morning.
And where the sunshine came out yesterday, it did for many of us. Temperatures climbed and it was the warmest day of the year so far, 23.4 degrees Celsius. Not quite as warm today, top temperature around about 22, we're looking at 23 tomorrow, 24 on Thursday and into Saturday as well. We could maybe just get to 25 degrees later on this weekend. And it's all thanks to fine, dry conditions. There's plenty of fine weather around today, plenty of sunshine with clear skies overnight. It's that, particularly in the south, that means temperatures have tumbled. So 2-3 degrees to start first thing in the south. Cloudy skies, we're looking at 9 or 10 degrees to start. So if you have the cloud first thing, it'll be sure to lift and break as you head through the day. Biggest south of the northwest of Scotland here and the Northern Isles, big enough to produce some light outbreaks of rain, but for everyone else, plenty of sunshine takes us through the day, and temperature-wise, we're looking at 21 or 22 degrees as our top temperature. We do it all over again tonight, clear skies, a beautiful sunny start for the day on Wednesday. And Wednesday, yet again, could be the warmest day. For the weather where you are in detail, go to itv.com/weather.
Well, I would have taken my top off in the garden yesterday because you said it was going to be really warm and sunny, but it was freezing.
That's why it wasn't, Richard.
Pardon?
That's why it wasn't.
Laura, thank you very much indeed. Still to come on Good Morning Britain. The Home Secretary faced the cameras over speeding fine. The Prime Minister still has her fate in his hands. He is considering an inquiry. However, her team, or behind the scenes, suggests that there might be briefings against her.
This is a smear conspiracy.
Is there a conspiracy against the Home Secretary because she's a threat to the Prime Minister? Andrew and Kevin is to discuss that next.
Fearsome blob at work, was it? Anyway, a theatre in London has been branded a bit sinister after it asked white people to stay away from one performance of a show that explores 300 years of African-American history. Is that kind of theatre apartheid? We'll discuss if it's divisive or if it's positive. The first thing we use is a hamburger.
Were turned away from Exeter's polling stations on election day because they didn't have voter ID. This month's elections were the first in Britain where people had to show voter identification before being given a drop-in session will be held for people in Devon today after this month's floods. Around 100 homes and businesses were affected when more than a month's worth of rain fell in the space of a few hours. The Environment Agency will be Cornish charity that rescued retirement spaces is starting funding costs. Racing Crew in Hastings says donations have dwindled due to the cost.
This winter in particular, the
prices have skyrocketed, so it's been a real trouble this week because everything's gone up, fees, bedding, hay.
Are discussing plans to grow the event with residents can attend the all-day key. And the world's last seagoing paddle steamer will be offering trips to the next month for the first time in years. This will be able to help on board the radios and the next that is the weather. Bright and early with the GMB local weather, sponsored by Ferretier's dry or time 50 plus ice blocks. Hello there, very good morning to you. Shaping up to be another really rather lovely day today. Slightly cloudier skies I think we saw yesterday, but nothing too troublesome. Temperatures holding up nicely, highs of 17 or 18 degrees, not bad at all for the time of year, with high levels of humidity. Thank you, Sri. Time to go back to the gym and lovely now. Let's have a look at the front pages this morning. The Express leading with that police search of the Portuguese reservoir in connection with Madeleine McCann's disappearance 16 years ago.
The Daily Mirror is saying that police are searching a place that the chief suspect in Madeleine's disappearance has called his little paradise.
The Guardian says thousands of hospital staff are reporting sexual assaults and harassment against them by patients.
And the Telegraph reports that former Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab will stand down at the next election. Talk about that in a second. We're joined now by the Mail's Andrew Pierce. The Mirror's Kevin Maguire. There's some little pantomime to say. Just ask me a question. Any question? Where are you going on holiday? When I go on holiday, yeah. Well, what I want to make clear is that my commitment is to be on GMB and doing the best job that I possibly can in this programme.
Where are you going on your holes?
Well, as I say, my commitment is to this programme. I disregard the duties of presenting GMB. Now, see, what I'm doing is I'm doing a brother. Because that's what they do.
Yeah.
You ask them a direct question, and they give you the answer to the question that you didn't ask.
Well, we discussed yesterday, will she possibly just grip it and take the out?
I don't know why she didn't just say,
Nuts,
I asked if there was a possibility of doing it where I wouldn't be in public. I was worried about the security.
Yeah, I was told I couldn't, so I paid the fine.
I probably asked the wrong person.
And what does she say? My focus is on stopping the boats. No, you didn't ask about the boats.
And the word in Westminster is, she didn't just say, yeah, I asked. The word is, there are emails which show it wasn't just asking, oh, can I do this? It's, can you get... Because that was an important clarification yesterday, that she said to Home Office officials, can you look into this for me, as opposed to look into it, try and get me, of course, a private
Do you
course.
think that this is having an effect on... Look, I think there are lots of things that have been going wrong and lots of rule breaking in government, as we saw over Bartgate, for instance. As we saw with Dominic Raab's behaviour and the outcome of that inquiry. I'm not sure that the difference between can I and will you...
Huge difference. It's a huge difference.
No, sorry, Kevin, let me finish the question. I'm not sure that difference is something that people watching might see as hugely significant.
Yeah, but they will when they see that this weekend I was done for speed. You know, can I just get a one-for-one course rather than having all those drivers who are voters knowing I've been speeding? Or coming in, you're the Home Office, can you sort me a special course so nobody knows I can keep this quiet? Here's an email. Abuse in your office.
A lawyer said that there are courses that certain individuals...
Nick told me this on GP News. He said he arranged it for 3 different clients.
Right.
And on one occasion, the company that operates the course contacted him and said, this client of yours, would he or she, and
And
Okay, so it's not like she was asking for something that isn't,
no, exactly.
isn't available.
He said these are exceptional cases where figures are world renowned.
So I said, was one of them the king?
The king, or that, where it would be impossible to have a course with an order. So these are huge exceptions. And he missed the loophole. Now, having missed a loophole on your side, so I'm not sure that's very good. Yeah, but not very good that you're relying on this loophole when you're supposed to be running the country. He said she would not qualify.
And he also made the point, if Sir Alan Bradman had approached a lawyer to handle this, client confidentiality, none of it would leak in it. No, it's not Watergate, and if you talk to Tory MPs, they think, move on.
Yeah, and Kevin, yesterday, when we talked to Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, he didn't actually take the opportunity to go to town on it.
Unlike some of the shadow ministers who have.
He described it as a distraction from what he was trying to talk about. So I wonder whether he's a former director of public prosecution, so he knows all about the law. I wonder whether he thinks this doesn't make them look like they're really rampant the right issue.
He also knows that he's come on to talk about health, and he wants that. He doesn't want to be drowned out by her, and he needs others to do it. Look, Labour have people instructed to call for an inquiry. That's what they've been doing against the
He's the Labour leader. He could have. I expected him to put the boot in, and he didn't.
It's very rare to get an opposition leader to call for a resignation of a cabinet minister very early. It's early days on this, but the reason it matters is how do you run the country, and do you think you're special and privileged, and that makes you have a touch. But she can't do her day job, as we'll see tomorrow when the migration is come out. Last week she was trying to become Tory leader. It's only a matter of 7 months she was sacked as Home Secretary.
Listen, I think people totally understand the idea that it's outrageous that politicians think it's one rule for them and one rule for the rest of them. But in this case, she was not trying to do anything illegal.
No, that's right.
She was trying to access something that other people have been
given. No. She was not trying to avoid a fine or a penalty points or the likes. She was trying to get her speed awareness course. Is it possible I can do it confidentially, privately, because I'm a very senior minister?
Right, but that's more judgment.
She was
when that comes out.
She was trying to use her position in a public office to get special treatment. Now, if she'd rung up a solicitor, she's a barrister herself, if she'd tried to sort something out herself, then that would be slightly different. I still think that doing it in public and trying to keep it from voters isn't a good idea. But she wasn't. She was trying to use the office. Now, you get civil servants, if this is the case, to ring up. You ring line from the office of the Home Secretary. Can we have a special course? The people on the other end of the phone are going to act very differently than if they get Joe or Jane.
Meanwhile, Dominic Raab's career has crashed and burned. I personally find this quite extraordinary. I've worked for news editors and sub-editors in my time who make Dominic look like a Sunday school teacher. I couldn't see anything in the report in his paper which I would describe as bullying. He was certainly highly critical of some of his stuff, but I don't think I saw anything that made him a bully. And look at him, he's resigned. He's standing down, isn't he?
The court said he was vindictive. This was an employment KC. Well, I mean, you might say didn't do you. I think if you say it didn't do you any harm, and other people have to suffer it, then I'm afraid it did do you some harm. It desensitises you.
I think he was a tough boss who often sent work back saying it's not good enough, and then we found out from the report that the most senior civil servants in his time said, "Oh, Minister, if you've got a problem with quality work, don't go to the civil service. Come to us. Why should we go to the civil service and produce shoddy, useless work?" He's standing down the next election because if they discover when they've been in cabinet and on the backbenches, which believe can exclude. But here's the other thing: he's going to lose succeed in the next election anyway, because the Lib Dems are only about 2,000 vote back. That's the real story.
He's getting in ahead of the curve.
He's getting in ahead of the
curve. He avoids losing his seat, and the embarrassment appeared of that, and he'll make more money. What will he do?
Well, he's a clever lawyer, and he'll go and work for some major.
When he gets a job on TV News.
No, they've got enough Tory MPs there already.
It must be the only former cabinet minister not doing
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, you go round on the right-wing circuit internationally as some martyr for a while, as Liz Truss does, because they'll be lionise abroad far more than they are in the UK, because people in the UK know.
Kevin, did you really think it was?
Yeah, that report quite clearly shows it.
He acted in an intimidating way towards officials.
Is that brilliant?
Exactly, is that right?
Yes.
Well, he didn't shout, he didn't swear, he didn't throw anything. His old mate Gordon Brown had form for throwing mobile phones.
I am glad I'm glad
he didn't.
It could be incredibly
described by Alistair Darling, who's his chancellor, as having a volcanic temper.
And that's brilliant. And that would now be classed as bullying. But I think we're in a better place where people used to get bullied and go home and
you categorised what I said as it didn't do me any harm. I didn't say that, but what I would say is I think I'm a better journalist because I was all up on the Senator. Yeah. When I made a mistake in copy, but I hadn't. I used to work in newspapers and I did it. I got absolutely shouted out in front of everybody, and I didn't do it again.
We've both got the teacher.
It is done now in a better way. Yeah. And I think the atmosphere in newsrooms is more encouraging. And I think people respond better. Yeah, you've got to have mistakes picked up. Yep, you've got to be held to account. Yeah, you want standards to be high. But you don't. You don't. No, you know what I don't. I don't miss watching people being publicly humiliated.
No, and even the TV is never frightened of being menaced by people, do you? Or intimidated.
It just made you, research, you didn't make that same mistake again.
Well, people did. I mean, people do. Because often the problem wasn't the person making the mistake; it was the bully doing the shouting, the screaming.
Oh, I would agree with that. Was what I'm saying. Okay, we read the report with different eyes. Yeah, I saw something different.
Can we talk about something different and seeing things differently? The poor family of Madeleine McCann. Now, the German police want to and will. Probably while we're on air, start searching this reservoir, the Araday Dam, about 50k from Praia de Luz in the Algarve, which is where she went missing 16 years ago. We've already had messages from people saying it was outrageous that her parents left her to go and have dinner. I just cannot understand why in this particular case, the agony has to be heaped still on the parents.
And they chose that resort because it was child friendly and there were, what's it called, Mark Warner, where the staff wandering around checking on friends.
Well, they checked regularly. And in fact, he checked, isn't it? The dad checked just shortly before, and then Mum came.
This great debate then go for by should they left them alone because they checked every half an hour. My mum telling us when we went to Butlins on holiday, my dad went dancing in the evening and we kids were left in our chalet and the redcoats would be telling.
It was sold. I remember I did this.
That's a similar setup.
I went to Regis Butlins. My eldest was 2, 3, whatever, and it was sold to you as you, mum and dad, go to the ballroom, the bubble dancing and everything. And the redcoats will go around and check, listen at the door. I mean, the thing is about having an adult run around listening at the door for the kids who've been left alone sounds a bit weird, I know, but this is how it was sold.
And also, what are you going to hear?
Yeah, and if they hear a baby child crying,
then
your name came up on a screen, or your shine number. And I remember going back. Yeah. And that's how it was. And Mark Warner was it was a posher version of that. Yeah. Now I think the use of the
Well, I'm not going to read these messages out. I mean, I don't mind being criticised. That's fine. It will probably got back to me, and sometimes it's fully justified. But some of the words, some of the language here, directed this poor couple, and it's just also factually wrong. Yeah. What's being stated is, I mean, one person said that it's like they went to the pub. And came back once an hour to check on the kids. Nothing like that.
Yeah, they could see your mum.
I've been there. You can.
Yeah. There was a report submitted to the Metropolitan Police on the abuse of the McCanns, and that some of the people making the abuse were pretty respectable in every other way, but they had some obsession. It's a bit you know, sometimes you get people with obsessions.
Well, it's a great,
and it became.
You know what? I couldn't sleep properly for 2 weeks because I had Charles the same age.
Yeah.
I could not sleep thinking about it. The agony that we were going through. Coming back and opening the door that I didn't see.
And remember, there were twins there too.
Yeah.
But we hope there's a
resolution
to this falling.
Well, you hope it's still alive.
8,500 sightings, reported sightings of Madeline McCann in 16 years, which is all bad. You know that the hopes get built up.
The anguish they must be feeling now as this search goes on, because if it is successful, you know what that means. And if
And then
you must have
the horror.
Yeah, it must be unbearable. It's also it's hard to imagine unless you have and frankly I never have a missing child.
And we saw it the first time with one of the twins just a couple of weeks ago. She said with the sister, and again, yeah, it did exactly that. Exactly.
Can we just lighten you briefly in this segment? Global Council. They're training their staff and have to switch off light bulbs.
It's so difficult to do that, isn't it?
Apparently,
It's like a joke.
The former council to the Bristol building, somebody noticed about 2 in the morning the other day, that all the lights were burning. They left all the lights on. These are LED lights, cost about £8 million.
Yeah.
And so they're now training their staff on how to switch out the lights. I think it's called a finger.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
Did you ever do that with your kids though? They're like,
These are children.
I used
They're not
to.
children.
Yeah.
It's a habit you get
Yeah, it
into,
is.
isn't it?
But
When you don't turn off
I remember
lights.
switching from the argument about the cost of leaving everything on. They didn't care about that. So I did the green argument, saving the planet. I got a little bit of a better response for a short while.
Well,
when it was like, switch it off, this is how you do it, that's all you
You
do.
wrote an entire book, Laura, about what happens to the environment when you don't switch the lights on. Do you know what? Nora switched off, and she's left the studio. She is really. I'm going to get a little bit of breakfast. Oh, yeah.
No
Sorry.
rush, and you're on time.
So Laura, this council has implemented training to ensure that this is an isolated incident because it leaves the entire building illuminated overnight. Just getting you up to speed on the story because I know that you've I was listening. What impacts it have on the environment when we leave the lights on overnight? Do you know, it has a huge impact. And one thing you may have noticed in recent months since King Charles has become our new monarch, we turned up all the lights at Buckingham Palace. So when the correspondence used to do live, it would be glowing in light. But now it is dark. So actually, it isn't just planet saving, it's also saving money. If you turn off all those lights, it's probably save you up to 5, maybe 10% of your energy bill. So yeah, that was very good. It's worth coming back to that.
It's very cool because Buckingham Palace has 750 bedrooms. I mean, the place is rooms. 750 rooms. It's really quite good. 750 rooms.
But I was going to say,
We can confirm, there we go.
but this is an issue that divides marriages. I mean, while I'm doing this programme, I've got to go to bed before Julie, so she stays downstairs with the telly. Now, I switch lights out. I'll keep 1 or 2 on just in case somebody stumbles down in the night, for some reason. But I turn them off. Like, that's it. It's a done deal. When I come down, like 4 in the morning to do this, she's left all the lights on. All burning. Drives me mad.
Do you know, I don't know, but I prefer to have the lights on and it feels safer.
Yeah, I've heard that from other people.
What's downstairs?
Yeah.
Well, you can just see everything.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
no
I
one
don't
can
like
hide.
the house being completely dark at night.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a male-female thing.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it will.
Or maybe I'm just a meanie.
And environmentally conscious.
Exactly.
Well done. All right, Kevin, thank you very much indeed. Coming up next, we're talking about the case of Kevin Cornwall, who travelled to Afghanistan to give medical support to people desperately in need there. But he is being